Let's talk about how sound engineering is shaping up in today's times with so many plugins coming in, and every musician has started behaving as a sound engineer in the sense he feels he's also a sound engineer.
To a certain extent, they are. Raditya, let me put it this way. ऐसी बात नहीं है. I think each musician is a part composer. I think, let me put it this way. Each singer, each musician is a part composer in some ways down the line. He or she is also a part instrumentalist. अगर वो कोई instrument बजाते हैं, उनके दिमाग में कुछ चल रहा है. They are also a part engineer somewhere down the line because उनके दिमाग में वो साउंड घूम रही है कि मुझे ये साउंड ऊपर चाहिए, ये साउंड नीचे चाहिए. जब वो उसको बना रहे हैं या क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, इवन कंपोजर, वो दिमाग में उनके एक मिक्सर चल रहा है मेरे हिसाब से. You know, a virtual mixer in their head is going on, which they are mixing elements in their mind and they are hearing the final product. That's why the relationship which I talked about earlier is important, because as an engineer you begin to understand that mixer in their head and actually physically do it for them and makes things easier. Okay, so उनके दिमाग में वो चल रहा है. Now because of the so-called bedroom composers, as a lot of people have called them, and the home studios and the availability of technology, making it, leveling out the entire play field in terms of cost, in terms of features and what you can do now, it has just made it easy for all these people who had things in their head now to actually do it themselves. They might make a mistake, they might make a lot more mistakes, but because it is no cost element to them to go to a studio, at some point they will learn. Right. That is my analysis of the situation. आज आपने गलती की है, you made a mistake, you saying, oh, my bottom head is not sounding good in my room. Yeah,
but then they don't understand 50 hertz and they don't understand
they don't.
The physics of sound.
But I think the people who are interested in making it in this field at some point will take the initiative and the time to learn. They will. They will invest that time. They made a mistake today, they'll make it 10 times, 15 times, 20th time they will learn something out of it. Yeah, this is what I'm doing which is not right and this is how it's sounding. They will figure it out. Earlier, we had to go to a studio to do all this. Okay, and studio was a big black magic art. I mean, a composer or a musician did not understand the whole thing. It was too big. You walked in and you were overawed by this entire studio thing. The engineer you couldn't talk to because he was technically, you know, right up there, and you, I mean, you were an inferior plebeian, one small ant down there. You better not dare ask anybody all that. So all that was there. I think technology took away all that, which is great. I have nothing against that. I think it's beautiful. It took away all that, took all that mystery and all that out of it and said, boss, this is what it is. But yes, know your fundamentals, know your basics, and then go to work at it. So that's what it did. Now, what it did in the overall, in my opinion, the music and the sound engineer industry is that I might be, you know, caned for this at some point of time, or I might be, you know, ostracized and put away by some people. But I think the so-called mixing engineer who mixes a song for all the composers and the artists is going to go out. It's going to die very soon. You will not have mix engineers at all or as a credit in most albums, and you'll find they are hardly there.
Even if you have a relationship, or maybe in that case...
In that case, they might survive, but I think in the newer generation and the newer breed of composers, I think they all want to do it themselves. They find it easier to finish that product themselves rather than trying to explain it to somebody else. It's a huge investment of time, energy and everything, and I think they're saying, I want to control it all. I think we're coming to the point in our entire universe of where control is becoming very important for people.
But doesn't hardware, expensive gear that even you have invested in, doesn't that matter too?
To some extent, but I think it's a trade-off. Investing in that gear versus what you're going to achieve with your own self, with your own control and being responsible for that, I think it's a trade-off. Even I think in terms of freelancers, as freelance engineers go, there are very few who would have invested so much in hardware, really. and I think it's your own personal itch. I want this gear and I'll use it. I mean, your client is not going to pay you even 2 paisa more for that job, boss. Just because you have like a 2.5 lakh or a $5,000 gear, your price is not going to jump
because
even in small amount proportion to that, nowhere near it. It's not going to jump at all.
So it's your own passion that.
It's your own, like I said, it's an itch. हम उसको हिंदी में कहते कीड़ा. It's your own कीड़ा. It's your own itch that you'll say, यार मुझे ये चाहिए, right? And it's not that because some other engineer is using it or that guy is using it. I think after a point of time, you come to a point where you say, I just want it because I know what it does. I like that, what it's doing to my sound. I'm looking for that. And you kind of end up buying that kind of hardware. The problem in India is right now that the hardware is very difficult to maintain in terms of service. I have 2 pieces of expensive gear which are lying, they're broken down because of climate conditions here. And I have nowhere to go to get them repaired. So unless I make a trip to London again or somewhere else in the US, I'll have to take it with me, get it repaired. And even there, it's becoming difficult to find replacement parts for these products. And that's the unfortunate part. So even me, who is so passionate about hardware and vintage gear and all that stuff, because I've come out of that era myself, I'm actually having second thoughts. Should I invest in any more hardware? I'm really, really giving it a second thought. So, guys who are new to it, I mean, where everything, emulations are available in plugins right now. And your company, Sudeep Audio, is the premier organization which is actually responsible for bringing out those plugins and making it available for people. So, it's there now. Earlier you had to import it, you had to wait for an import license, you had to see if you could download it or get somebody, a relative to bring it. All that is gone. Whatever is available in the West is available right now. As we say right now, it's available here as well. And it's quite an even platform. So things are available, people are buying it, people are using it, they will experiment with it. And they'll come to a point where they'll say, I can do it myself. So I think in a few years, only broadcast engineers who are required for TV and radio, live engineers who do live concert sounds, and film engineers, because film mixing is still an art which is in the studio. It's still not at home. And I think maybe the time is not very far when even that will start to happen. With the 5.1 broadcast E standards and everything coming in and people accepting smaller room mixing theaters, that might not be very far off. But abhi tak wo hai, it's still there. But recording engineers, yes, would be required if you need to record a live instrument outside or a large ensemble. So yes, but mix engineers per se, I think that's something.
It'll fade out.
It'll just die out in a while.
Terms?
Yeah,
that's called fade out. Then
it'll just fade out in a while. It'll be it'll be unfortunate. I really feel sad for that going out. But
what should such people do then? I mean, there are people
what should such people do? Well, I think you have to look at alternate things which are related to your craft. Like I said, there are the other avenues that you can work in, whether it's be the live, if that's your interest. I was just fortunate and I'm lucky, very, very lucky indeed, that I wear different bandanas, literally as well, but I work with live field as well, I work in the studio, and I do music production as well, and the film world as well. So I straddle all these
bandanas.
Different bandanas.
Not hats.
So, but yeah, those are the areas you can get into if that's your interest. My other interest was music production for a very long time, and that's what actually got me into the sound engineering part of it, or my interest in music. I had a band in college and I used to play the guitar, so I was very keen to find out how I can improve the sound of this band, which got me really, really interested as to find out the very essence of what sound is all about and why it works in certain places and why it doesn't work in certain places. So I think for me, I'm trying to get back, so to speak.
Just coming back to what you started off.
What I started off with, I kept dabbling in it in the middle. Let's say Rabbi's first Bulla album was an example. Kandisa with Indian Ocean, and later on Black Friday for the film thing was an example. And I'm now working. I'm finding it also exciting to work with new artists. I find that equally exciting. And like I said, it's not just a technical part of it. I mean, my creative part tries to push me in that direction, and it's a push and pull. Whether you should do music production or should do engineering work, and I think whichever side it takes on, I kind of just follow that instinctively. And but somewhere down the line, I think the music has been just getting to me saying, you need to do more music part of it.